Hey guys, it's Scott Bywater here, and I want to talk about writing email subject lines and social media posts, headlines, all of that sort of thing, and the most powerful word to use. And I'm going to come to the most powerful word to use in a second, but first I want to talk about what is the key to actually getting noticed. Now, I've written, literally and split tested, thousands of email subject lines. And I probably spend, every week I would spend around about 6 to 8 hours, for one client, just writing email subject lines. So, and this is the process I use to actually create, those, that information, those subject lines, and it can be used for, it can be used for a headline. It can be used for virtually anything. And the first thing I'll do is I'll go through and I will collect the content. So I'll read through the content. So let's say you're doing it and you're trying to come up to that for the headline for something, and you've got 2 pages of content which you're sending someone to, for example. Well, you go through that content, and what you may find is that the thing that pops, the thing that really stands out. Hey James, how are you? Good to see you here. So the thing that really stands out is it's buried like 80% of the way into your copy. So that often happens, and it's like bang, it just pops and it really stands out. Hey Ace, how are you? So so that's it. That's the number one key. So what I will do, let's say I'm writing a headline for something, is I will actually read through a piece of content, and I will look for it, and I will cut and paste. So I will have 2 screens when I'm creating a headline. And hey Shaz, how are you? And on one screen, I'll have the actual content. So let's say it's an email, and on the other screen, I'll have something, and I break it up. I'll break it up into headlines, sub-headlines, proof points, notes, and I'll pull the stuff across from one screen to the other. And you don't really need 2 screens, but you just need 2 documents. So I'll pull it across from one screen to the other, and then I'll use that, and then I'll let it percolate. Because what happens when you create a headline, a subject line, a Facebook post, whatever, is you've got to get all this data and you've got to throw it in there and you've got to read through it. And then you've got to let what is right pop to the surface and raise to the surface. And that's really, really key, because the right thing will come to the surface. So once you've done that, you actually go, you can actually go through it and you start to write, depending on how important it is. Like if it's an email and it's going out to a small list, I'll just come up with a headline and go bang and get it out there. And I'll come to this 4-letter word in a minute, because this is a really critical point that I want to bring up. But if it's an email, I'll just punch it out. But if it's an important thing, like it's an ad that's going to go in the newspaper, or I'm going to spend thousands of dollars on it, or whatever, then I will labor over it. And you might end up creating 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 headlines, and then something pops to the surface and rises to the surface, soars to the surface. So that's a really key thing with creating these headlines and creating this content, is the right thing raises to the surface. Now then you can go through a process, and I use a number of things to trigger me. Like Perry Marshall's got a really good thing called the Swiss Army knife, so often I'll use that. I have headlines, like lists of headlines, to sort of trigger me, as well as going through that content. So in terms of when you go through and you read through, and things will trigger you. So one of the triggers I use is, what do I hate? Not what do I hate, what does a target market actually hate about something. So let's say we're doing some sort of vitamin for for pain. Let's say it's MSM or something like that. Well, the thing that people hate is they hate having back pain. So maybe we focus it around back pain, right? Focus the message around back pain, or maybe they have knee pain or shoulder pain or whatever. And that's where it's really important, because the number one thing that needs to be going through our mind as we go through this is actually who is our target market, and how is this headline going to connect with our target market? That's the question that we've got to be asking. So I go through and I'll trigger it. What do they hate? What do they love? What's an emotion? Like an emotion. Hey Ray, how are you? So hey Greg, how are you? So what's an emotion which actually triggers? So an emotion might be, let's say for this pain, the emotion might be, hey, I'm not connecting with my kids because I'm in so much back pain that I can't play with them. Let's say if you're a parent, and this is when you get to the deeper aspect of it. It's not just pain. It's like, hey, I can't actually spend time with my kids and go out and kick the ball with them. And that hurts. So if you're in that, let's say you work out that's for your target market, and you can say to a parent, can't kick the ball to your kids because because your back hurts too much. You can't play with your kids. And you touch on the fact that, what are your kids missing out on, and what are you missing out on, and all of that sort of thing. And it hits it at such a deeper level. Now, here's the key. Here is the 4-letter word that's so important. Well, I'm going to come to that. I promise I will come to that in the next couple of minutes. But first, let me actually frame why this 4-letter word is so critical. And the reason why this 4-letter word is so critical is because what I have found through testing and split testing thousands of headlines over the years and actually seeing the results is that curiosity, they were right when they said curiosity kills the cat. Curiosity is the real key here. If you can dig in and make someone really curious about what you've got to offer, boom. It happens. So if you're watching this and you want to jot down and you're after a headline idea right now, put down your type of business and tell me a bit. I will read it and I will come back to you real time as well. So let's say, let's say I've got this back pain, this MSM. I'll keep going with that. With that example. Let's say I've got that as an example. So if I look at that, and I say, and I look at, well, how do I make someone curious? It could be, rather than saying something like MSM fixes back pain, it could be, this unusual ingredient fixes back pain. This unusual ingredient from, let's say it comes from, from China, from Beijing, fixes back pain. And it's like, what is that unusual ingredient that fixes back pain? Okay, so you've got this curiosity, because the aim of the headline, the subject line, the Facebook post is to make it so that it needs to be clicked on. Now you got to be careful, and that word, I have actually mentioned it. That 4-letter word, I've already mentioned it. See if you can guess what it is. If you want, shoot me across and see if you can actually guess what that 4-letter word is. And it's probably not what you're thinking. But what, by doing that, it's like it gets the curiosity. Now you don't want it to be link bait. Remember, we've talked about back pain, so it's not link bait. If someone clicks on that, odds are they've got back pain. It's not like, this unusual 4-letter word, whatever. So, this word, so Gregory said, pain people hate, emotional stimulus, make audience curious, the unusual XYZ solves emotional pain they hate. Beautiful. So pain people hate. So the letter's it's not pain. I'll tell you what it is. And it's in the first word of this post. And it's this.